we're thinking about. And of course, today we had the pleasure of having one of our portfolio company, Kite AI, and the co-founder and CEO, Zhang, joining us today. Is Chi on as well? I don't see him, but I assume he's on. Hello. Hey, that's great.
Hey, Alan.
Hello, Chi. How are you?
Hey, again. Yeah. How are you?
Terrific. Hey, thanks for taking time to share your wisdom with the broader group here. I'll get straight to it. So if you can start with a quick intro in one sentence, how would you describe what Kite AI does and who is it for?
Sounds great. Hi, everybody. This is Chi. Kite is building the payment and identity infrastructure for AI agent. What does that mean is we give every agent a verifiable identity, programmable spending limit, and stablecoin-native rail, so that businesses and individuals can actually deploy autonomous agents to transact on their behalf without losing control of their money. So this is what Kite is building for.
Great. And I think as the foundation that Yat shared with us earlier on, I mean, that's where the economy is moving, right? Which is from Web 2 to 3 to Web 4, I guess, right? Which is a lot of what we do will be penetrated by machines and AI, right? And I think Kite, that's exactly what Kite sit in the intersection of, right? Which is crypto and AI. What does it really mean though? Like, what problems are you solving? Of course, you've mentioned you're creating that set of infrastructure for agent. Maybe you can go a little bit into the detail. Why couldn't a pure AI company do it, or why couldn't a pure crypto company do what you're doing today?
Sounds great. So in this case, I'll give a brief, very quick walkthrough about why we started Kite in terms of like the challenges and why we see a blockchain/crypto-based solution is the best solution for that challenge we saw. So fast kind of like backwards towards like 1.5 years ago, this is where we launched the Kite. And the reason we launched that was we saw the browser-based agent, like browser-based, and later on a ChatGPT operator has been allowing users to operating or allowing agents to operating on internet or like on websites on behalf of their human principles with the front-end approach. And that means user, if they want to, for example, like a book flight or like a book restaurant reservation on Yelp, they technically need a credit card for some of those reservations. And in that case, people use credit card, which we saw many of our friends or like some of the partners we work with has using that payment solution as the credit card as payment solution. And in that case, it didn't work out well because one, users usually felt very uncomfortable of giving their credit card information, and such as like the card numbers or like even PIN to agents directly without knowing like how the agent will handle those data. And second is how the transaction from credit card will a lot of times get turned down by the issuing banks like Chase, because it's usually trigger the fraud detection mechanisms underlying. So that's why we're like, oh, is there a better solution compared to credit card to be used for agent to do payment related work? Then we looked around and felt like actually stablecoin could be a really native solution or programmable money for agent to do that for a couple of reasons. One is, of course, stablecoin actually is built on top of blockchain, and how you transfer stablecoin is through cryptographic wallet. And because of the cryptographic wallet with a smart contract, you can actually add some control and guardrail on top of that, meaning that even if you give the agent a wallet to do transaction or money transfer, you can still add some programmable rules on top of that, which actually is giving user more confidence on how the money will be or how the wallet will be guardrailed, and also potential, and also that's actually doesn't reveal the user's real information as what credit card, as you give them a card number to agent directly. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is, of course, because of some other AI or like an agent native payments use case, like API consumption, makes credit card a very expensive solution for that, because if you're using Stripe for a payment processor with a credit card, that's will charge you 29 cents plus 3% per transaction, which actually can be too expensive if you're talking about very micro or like a small transaction volume. In this case, like if it per API call is just a few cents, then it doesn't make sense to use a credit card. So that's why stablecoin is a very low cost fee, low cost solution. And of course, another very strong reason we saw that is we just mentioned the credit card, the cryptographic wallets, and itself actually can be used as a verifiable identity for agents to verify who they are and prove even some of the intent they have when they access solutions or like services. So all that things add together makes us realize stablecoin native payments plus the blockchain stablecoin native payments plus the blockchain based primitives like cryptographic wallets can be really used as an end-to-end solution to give agents unified identity and payment solution for agent to agent or even like human to agent payments solutions.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's really building for the future that is here already, right? I mean, we're still working on finance rail from a couple of decades ago, and now we have something that's better, cheaper, and faster, and which is what you're building using stablecoin, giving agent identity and wallet to transact. Can you share a little bit more on the go-to-market side? So how is this solution package being used today?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's overall right now we saw 3 common use cases people are using, or like our partners are using Kite for. The first is, of course, Agentic shopping use case. So by the way, everybody here, if you didn't know, but we launched our Kite mainnet and agent passport solution today. So if you register and sign up for that passport, you can actually use Kite to order and purchase food or anything on Amazon directly from Kite. So that is actually one of the first use cases we see very popular demands and interesting type of use cases from in terms of Agentic shopping. Of course, like grocery shopping, or if it's a book shopping or like some other things, there's a lot of different SKUs, but overall shopping use case is one of the first one we saw the common use case. And the second is the agent, the API consumption, particularly around the GPU cloud solution, such as like open router or like a cloud router type of solution has been used a lot by developers to access the cheapest or like the most affordable GPU solutions, and then Kite can be used to pay for per API consumption. And the third one is agent trading type of use case, and essentially that is what I think cryptocurrency is a very popular type of assets people are trying agents for, but there's more other type of assets we saw start coming into this as well, such as like a stock or like tokenized assets, like tokenized stock in some of the large platforms that we collaborate with. So shopping, trading, and API consumption, particularly like the GPU consumption, is the 3 use cases that we saw. That's from go-to-market side. There's some demand.
And I think that what you're really describing is that future of the agentic web. Between trading, shopping, how quickly do you think this will happen? I mean, I know that right now there's a lot of pilot and experiment. Like, where do you think this innovation will lock in and be implemented first?
I would say I think shopping is definitely like the I would say the most common use case in this process. And by the way, shopping is not only including the consumer side, but also like the B2B procurement, for example, is where we see a lot of like the companies, enterprises that we are talking to or working with has been trying to automate the flow with agents. As particularly when it comes to procurement, you don't have that type of a shopping experience that you have to optimize for. It's just purely for like if the goods or like the items is fitting into the business criteria for that procurement, and then it's a perfect use case for agent. Anyways, so that's shopping related use case is definitely what we see the high demand coming. But the only caveat I want to emphasize here is for some of the shopping use cases we observed, there's a lot of the clients are comparing or even comparing between the stablecoin-based solution and the virtual card, which is a credit card-based solution for that payments. So Visa, for example, launched the Visa Intelligence Commerce. So what I want to say here is actually what from a non-crypto perspective, there's also some solutions that potentially can work for that. But for another type of use case, like an API type of use case, truly only crypto or like stablecoin-based solution can solve that need. So what we are seeing or like we're betting is gradually, besides the shopping use case, the type of like more micro and real-time transaction use case like API consumption will also grow up quickly. So that's for that type of use case, then owning solutions like Kite or some other similar or relevant stablecoin-based approach can be working for that scenarios.
Yeah, I agree. I think the B2B side would probably take off much faster as well. So maybe just as the last question to wrap up, we went through a lot of, this next iteration of AI around agentic workforce and solution for, and of course, the Animoca portfolio is quite broad. I mean, not all of us are working in AI. What is your advice to people that is not in AI in its core business, but need to be thinking about AI and agentic? What is your advice on what they should be thinking about for their company in terms of what they should try and experiment?
Very good question. I think first thing first is definitely make your own company AI native, which means whenever there's a workflow, for example, like have to happen twice or 3 times, you should consider using AI to automate that. And also, like one joke we're making internally right now is if any developers in Kite is manually coding anything, there's something wrong. They should not be here. It should be all like now AI models to help you code. Especially in the last, I would say, 3 to 4 months, AI coding or like AI intelligence has been really boosted to another level. So I think literally the first thing is check out how much, for example, like percentage of code in your organization right now is written by AI rather than by human developers. And the second is for besides like besides the engineer side, on the business side, are they doing the same? Give you an example. So right now, all our we have pretty much deactivate all the subscription to SaaS tools that our business team are using, such as like HubSpot or like any CRM tools or like follow-up email campaign tools. We're pretty much just rebuild this very quickly with Anthropic Cloud, which is actually is much more flexible and easier and cheaper than the existing solutions. So check out the AI usage and nativeness in your team first before we talk about the rest.
That is super useful tip. I mean, a lot of upgrading and upskilling required in all organization when it comes to the agentic possibility. So Chi, thank you so much for this very informative session. Thank you for joining us. I'll hand it back to Zhenya.